Jack Thorne was a man who didn't want to be remembered after 10 long years in the Terran Space Forces. He retired quietly and took a job on a dusty mining colony called Doria 7, far from Earth and even farther from trouble. The planet had 2 suns, 1 broken moon, and only 2,000 people, mostly miners, cargo pilots, and people like Jack who had nowhere else to go. Every morning, Jack drank his bitter coffee while staring at the horizon of cracked red rock. He never talked about the war. He never talked about his past. People respected that, but peace never lasts long in space. It happened on a Tuesday, the sky above. Doria 7 turned dark at noon. Not from clouds, the planet had no rain, but from something much bigger. A ship had arrived. Not a Terran ship. Not a pirate craft. This one was massive, miles long, shaped like a glowing silver crescent, and humming with strange, deep energy that made the ground vibrate. It didn't land, didn't fire, just floated. Then it spoke. All over Doria 7, screens lit up. On mining monitors, broken radios, and old satellites, a voice echoed calm, powerful, and ancient. Bring my daughter to me, human, and inherit my kingdom. People stared in silence. Jack froze. Then the message repeated. But this time, it said more. Jack Thorne, you have been chosen. Your blood is the key. Bring my daughter to me, and all that I rule shall be yours. Jack dropped his coffee. How did it know his name? Within hours, the United Terran Command contacted Jack. Their ship arrived fast, too fast. A high-ranking officer stepped out. Commander Lena Voss, a cold, efficient woman with steel-gray eyes. Get in, she said. We have a problem, and you're it. In the briefing room aboard the Terran ship TSC Harbinger, Jack sat across from 4 generals on hologram screens. Lena stood beside him. The lead general, an old man with a gold-plated uniform, leaned. Forward. You're the only one that ship responded to, he said. We've tried everything. Signals, probes, diplomacy, nothing. Only your name unlocks the message. We think it's psychic. Jack shook his head. I'm no diplomat. Just a mechanic now. You were a Marine, Voss said. Led squads. You've survived worse. And now the galaxy's most powerful ship calls you by name. Ow. Jack narrowed his eyes. What's the real reason you need me? Voss leaned forward. 'Cause that ship belongs to the Zarthari Empire. The room fell quiet. Even Jack had heard of the Zarthari. They were more myth than reality. A race older than Earth's sun. For thousands of years, they ruled star systems with telepathy, technology, and terrifying precision. Then they vanished, leaving ruins and warnings. Now their queen had returned, and she wanted her daughter. Later that night, Jack sat alone in the observation deck, watching the alien ship through the glass. It hadn't moved. It just waited. Why me? He whispered. The lights flickered. Then he heard a voice. Not through his ears, but inside his head. Because you are mine, child of Earth, and my daughter is yours to protect. Jack jumped to his feet. Who said that? The voice was calm, almost kind. I am Zinvala, Queen of Zarthar. My body fades, but my will remains. My daughter was lost among the stars, hidden from enemies. Only you can find her. Only you can survive what comes. Jack's heart pounded.
Does that mean?
It means blood calls to blood. It means the war is not over. And it means your destiny is greater than you know. Connection faded. The lights returned. Jack stared at the stars. The next morning, Earth's leaders sent a full diplomatic fleet too late. The alien ship vanished into slipspace, leaving behind only one beacon. It was small, black, and shaped like a crystal star. When Jack touched it, it lit up and projected a map, dozens of points across the galaxy, with one blinking red. Orion Drift. The AI on board the Harbinger confirmed it. That system hadn't been visited in over 80 years. It was near the remains of Zarthari territory. Jack knew what that meant. He had a mission before he left. Commander Voss gave him one last warning. If you find the princess, she said, bring her to us first. Not to the Queen. Earth deserves a place in this empire. Jack looked her in the eye. That's not your call or mine. He boarded a fast scout ship, the Vigilant, with a small crew, Alara, a hacker with a criminal past and fast fingers, Dr. Malik, a xenolinguist, obsessed with alien culture, and Rex, a reprogrammed Zarthari war drone with loyalty only to Jack. The Vigilant launched into hyperspace. The real journey had begun. Somewhere out there, the lost daughter of a dying queen waited, and with her, the key to a forgotten empire. But Jack had no idea that finding her would change not just his fate, but the future of every species in the galaxy. The Vigilant moved through the dark stretch of space called the Orion Drift. This place was silent, empty, and full of broken ships floating like ghosts. Many had tried to explore this region before, but none returned. Space stations were torn apart. Holes were melted by weapons unknown to humans. Jack Thorne stood on the bridge, staring at the blinking red dot on the map. That was their destination, a dead moon called Velis 4. Nothing here feels right, Lara said, her eyes watching the scanners. No signals, no power, no heat, just quiet. Too quiet, Rex added, his voice deep and robotic. This is not natural silence. This is the silence of fear. Jack didn't answer. His gut already knew. They were close. They landed on Velstash 4. It was cold and dark. The air was thin, but breathable. Cracks ran through the planet's surface like spiderwebs, glowing faintly with blue light. As they moved through the ruined landscape, Dr. Malik studied strange symbols etched into the rocks. These are Zarthari, he said with awe. This moon was a temple world once, but something destroyed it. They reached an old Zarthari tower half buried in dust. Rex forced open the sealed doors, and inside, a strange warmth met them. Lights flickered. Machines blinked. Someone had power here? Then a voice rang out through the chamber. Halt. Identify yourselves. A figure stepped from the shadows. She wore flowing robes of deep silver and had glowing blue eyes. Her skin shimmered faintly, and around her floated shards of crystal like tiny moons. She looked almost human, but not quite. Jack stepped forward. We came for the princess. The queen sent us. The figure tilted her head. You carry her blood. I can sense it. Jack froze. Yeah, who I am. You are Jack Thorne, son of the Terran warrior and the lost bloodline. Then she smiled. Not with kindness, but with challenge. I am Kalira, daughter of Zin Vala, and I don't need saving. The reunion was not what Jack expected. Kalira was strong, proud, and cold. She had been hiding here for years, not because she was lost, but because she was hiding from her own people. The Zarthari Empire is dying, she said, walking along the glowing halls of the temple, and the warlords want me dead. They find me, they'll use me to claim the throne. Or worse, make me a puppet. But your mother is calling you back, Jack said. Kalira's expression darkened. She also left me behind. I was a child when the Empire broke. She vanished. I survived. Dr. Malik spoke softly. The queen is dying. You're her only heir. I don't care about the throne, Kalira. Snapped, I care about freedom. As night fell on Velis 4, they heard the sound in engines. Ships, WREX, single quotes, eyes glowed red. Warlord ships approaching. 3 vessels, heavy weapons. What? No identification beacons. Kalira stood quickly. They found me. They followed us, Jack said, his jaw tight. No, Rex corrected. They followed you. The Queen's beacon led them. Alara cursed. They're landing fast. We can't launch now. Fight, Jack said. Hold the temple. Protect Kalira. She looked at him in surprise. Why would you protect me? You don't even know me. Jack looked her in the eyes. I don't leave family behind. The battle began at dawn. The warlord troops tall, armored Zarthari, soldiers with energy blades and pulse cannons, stormed the temple. Jack Rex and Alara fought back with everything they had. Jack used old marine tactics, setting traps and ambushes. Rex cut through attackers like a machine of war. Lara hacked into the temple's defenses, bringing old turrets back online. Kalira stood, At the center of it all, watching. Her hands trembled at first, but when Jack was nearly killed by a blast, something inside her awoke. She raised her arms and the crystals around her exploded with light. A wave of energy knocked the enemy troops to the ground. She floated. Above them, eyes glowing bright blue, the enemy fled. She landed softly, breathing hard. Everyone stared. Jack stepped forward. "You've got more power than you know." Kalira looked at her hands. "I've always had it, I just never wanted to use it." Later, the survivors sat inside the temple, patching wounds. "We can't stay here," Jack said. "Send more, stronger ones." Kalira nodded. "Then we go to the spire, the heart of the empire." "The queen's still waiting," Malik added. She called Jack for a reason. Jack looked at Kalira. "Will you come with us?" She hesitated. "You risked your life for me. I won't forget that. But if I return, it must be on my terms, not hers." "Fair enough," Jack said. As they prepared to leave, Kalira placed her hand on a small, glowing panel. A hidden door opened in the temple floor. Inside was a map, larger and older than anything seen before. She smiled for the first time. "The truth of the empire is deeper than you know," she said. "And if we're going to survive, we'll need to know it all." The Vigilant launched again, this time with Kalira aboard, but far away. In the black halls of a dying space fortress, another figure watched, a Zarthri warlord with silver armor and empty eyes. "She's returned," he hissed. "The bloodline lives, and the human walks beside her. Turn to his fleet. Send word to the others. The last heir must die, and the human who carries her blood must be destroyed." The Vigilant moved smoothly through deep space, far from any trade route or Terran patrol. Inside the ship, the air was tense. Jack Thorne stood at the center of the command deck, staring at the star map. Next to him stood Kalira, silent, her glowing eyes fixed on a blinking point in the center of the map. "That's where we're going?" Jack asked. Kalira nodded. "Yes, the Celestial Spire, the capital of the Zarthari Empire, or what's left of it." Dr. Malik leaned over the console, but that system was sealed off years ago. Black hole radiation, defense grids, rumors of madness. No one comes back from there. "That's the point," Kalira said. "Only someone of royal blood can pass through. It was designed to keep invaders out and heirs in." Jack crossed his arms. "So why am I involved in all this?" "I'm no heir." Kalira turned to him. Her voice was calm but serious. "You're more than you think, Jack. You're not just here by chance." Jack frowned. "You keep saying that, but no one tells me what it means." Rex, the reprogrammed war drone, stepped forward. "Would you like to know the truth?" Jack raised an eyebrow. "I thought I already knew it." Rex's eyes flickered. "The Queen's DNA records were leaked to the Empire's network last cycle. She had 2 children, not 1. Silence filled the room. Kalira looked at Jack, her eyes wide. You're my brother." Jack stumbled back, staring at Kalira in disbelief. "That's not possible," he said. "I'm human, 100%. "No," Malik said, quickly checking the ship's medical logs. "Your DNA, it's mixed. Human and Zarthari. Very well hidden, but it's there." Jack felt dizzy. "So what?" "My mother was the queen of a dead alien." "Empire?" He laughed bitterly. "Guess that explains the weird dreams and voices in my head." Kalira stepped closer. "I didn't know either, but now it makes sense. The queen called to you because you're her son." Jack leaned on the console, his thoughts raced. "Why didn't she tell me? Hide this." "She had enemies," Rex said, "even inside her court. If they knew she had a human child, they would have killed you before you grew up. Earth was the safest place." "So they hid me on Earth," Jack said slowly. "Grew up in an orphanage, then joined the military. All the while, I had no idea." "You were always meant to return," Kalira said gently. "And now you're here. The last hope of the Empire." As they neared the spire system, the ship shook. Something just locked. "Onto us," Alara shouted. Heavy scan beams. No damage, but they're watching. The stars around them shifted. A massive ring-shaped structure appeared ahead, glowing with ancient energy. Floating defense platforms turned slowly, like sleeping giants. Gate of Trials, Kalira whispered. We're here. The ship passed through a blinding light. Then everything went dark. For a moment, Jack thought they were lost, but then the darkness cleared, and there it was, the Celestial Spire, a massive tower of black crystal and silver steel, floating above a dying blue star. Stretched miles. High, with bridges, towers, and floating cities surrounding it. It's the heart of the Empire. Looks abandoned, Malik said. Looks like a trap, Alara added. Jack felt something pulling at him. Not fear. Not danger. A calling. They docked the ship at the lowest platform and entered the spire. It was quiet but not dead. Lights still glowed. Air systems still hummed. And strange whispers echoed through the walls. A floating orb appeared before them, made of silver and light. Welcome, blood of Zinvala. Begin the trials. Kalira stepped forward, but the orb floated to Jack. Only he may walk the path. Jack frowned. Why me? Because only you were born of two worlds. Only you can balance the throne. Kalira grabbed his arm. If you go in there, you may not come back. The trials test your mind, your heart, and your soul. Jack gave a small smile. Guess I've always been good at tests. Trial 1. The labyrinth of memory. Jack walked alone through a glowing maze. Walls shifted. Voices echoed. He saw memories, his first battle. His childhood, his mother's face, hidden in shadow, his father dying in war. The maze whispered doubts. You're not worthy. You're just a soldier. You will fail them all. But Jack kept walking. I've made mistakes, he said aloud. But I don't run. Not anymore. The path opened. The maze faded. Trial 2. The test of dominion. Jack stood in a command center. Simulated war began around him. Fleets battling. Planets burning. A voice spoke. Win, at any cost. He had to choose. One path led to victory, but with massive civilian deaths. The other would save lives but lose the battle. Jack paused, then gave the command. Save the innocents. Let the fleet go. The test ended. Mercy is strength. Trial 3. The heart of the Empire. He stood before a giant throne, surrounded by floating runes. A glowing AI figure appeared, the Throne Keeper. Take the throne and rule all. Unlimited power, control over minds, matter, and fate. Or walk away and leave it to decay. Jack looked at the throne. Then he turned away. I'm not here to rule. I'm here to protect. The AI paused, then bowed. Then you have passed. The Empire is yours to rebuild. Jack returned. Kalira ran to him. You survived. He smiled, tired, but standing. Barely. But then alarms rang. Rex turned sharply. Earth's fleet approaching. Not friendly. Earth, Jack said. Why would they? Ilara looked grim. They tracked us here. They're not here to talk. They want the throne. Kalira looked at Jack. What do we do now? Jack looked at the throne behind him and the stars beyond. We fight, but not to rule. He touched the throne and the spire came alive, to protect. The celestial spire lit up like a sleeping giant awakening. Lights ran through the towers. Massive platforms rose from the clouds. Ancient Zerthri machines hummed to life after centuries of silence. Jack Thorne stood at the center of the spires. Command ring, his hand resting on the glowing throne. He had passed the trials. He had unlocked the throne's power. But now, the real test had arrived. They're coming, Rex said. His voice had no emotion, but the red glow in his eyes showed danger. 17 Earth ships. Armed. Not here for peace. Earth, Jack whispered. They're supposed to be allies. Kalira stepped beside him. To them, you're no longer a soldier, you're a threat. Human who sits on an alien throne that scares them. They don't understand what we've done, Alara added. They think you've been taken, controlled, or were sterned. Jack looked at the floating screen. Earth ships surrounded the Spire system like vultures. We need to talk to them, he said. No fighting. But as he opened the comms channel, a voice shouted back. Jack Thorne, we're ordered to surrender the throne and return to Earth custody immediately. Refusal will be seen as treason. It was Admiral Rourke. Cold. Sharp. No negotiation. Looks like we're past talking, Malik said quietly. The first warning shot came an hour later. A single beam of light cut through the Spire's outer shield. No damage, but a clear message. Jack stood on the command platform with Kylara, Rex, Alara, and Malik beside him. We can't outgun them, Alara said. Their fleet has superior numbers. But we can outthink them, Kylara added. This station was built to survive invasions for 1,000 years. There are defenses here even the Earth fleets have never seen. Rex turned his head. Permission to activate phase shields and defense grid alpha. Jack paused. I don't want to kill Terrans. Then don't, Kylara said. Defend. Hold the line. Show them who you are. A protector, not a tyrant. Jack nodded. Rex. Activate defenses. But only to shield and disable. As the Earth fleet moved closer, the Spire responded. Huge defense satellites rose from the clouds. Rings of energy spun around the tower. Drones formed a barrier in orbit, scanning every ship. The first wave hit the shield like rain on steel. Energy. Beams reflected. Missiles exploded before impact. One Earth ship was disabled, spinning in space. Jack ordered drones to pull the crew to safety. I don't want any deaths, he said again. We're not monsters. But back on the Earth fleet, Admiral Rourke wasn't convinced. They've taken the boy. Brainwashed him. Launch second wave. Destroy the Spire. Inside the Spire, Kylara led Jack into a hidden chamber. A massive star map floated in the air, showing the full reach of the fallen Zarthri Empire. This is what we used to be, she said. Hundreds of worlds. Unity, knowledge, peace. Looked at the map. All lost? Not all, she said. Some still survive. Silent. Waiting. If we rise again, we can bring them back. But we can't do that by going to war with Earth. No, Kylara agreed. We rebuild with peace. Suddenly, a new signal flashed. A third fleet had arrived, not Earth. Not. XR. Tasher. Unknown. And massive Rex's voice echoed through the chamber. New ships approaching. Design unknown. Broadcasting no codes. Weapons charged. Jack and Kylara ran back to the command ring. On screen, the new fleet appeared. Black ships, razor-edged, silent. Malik's face went pale. That's impossible. Those are Ariko ships. They were wiped out during the Zarthri collapse. Kalira's voice turned sharp. No, they went into hiding, waiting for weakness. Alara stared at the map. They're here for the throne. They'll destroy everything, Kylara said. Earth, US, the Spire. Jack stepped forward. Then we fight. But this time, all of us. He opened a broadcast to Earth's fleet. This is Jack Thorne. Listen to me. Admiral Rourke's angry face appeared again. Stand down, Thorne. This is your final. We're under threat, Jack cut in. A third force is coming. Not human. Not Zarthri. Arikar. They want the throne. If we don't work together, we all die. Silence. Then another voice joined. The feed of female Terran captain? I confirmed the scans. New ships entering our radar? Large, armed, and not friendly. Rourke looked uncertain now. Jack leaned forward. You can shoot at me later, but right now, help me protect both our worlds. And so the battle began, for the first time in centuries. Humans and Zarthri fought together. Earth's fleet moved into defense formation. The Spire activated its full shield. Drones and fighters launched. The Arikar ships came fast, sharp, black, and deadly. They fired plasma spears that tore through shields. One Earth ship exploded. Another was nearly lost until Zar 3. Drones rescued it. Rex led the defense systems. Kalira used her control over the spire's crystal core to guide energy flows. Lara jammed the Wrecker's signals. And Jack stepped into the throne chamber and merged with the spire's AI. He saw everything: the ships, the stars, the people below. And he acted energy from the spire, blasted out like a sunburst, breaking apart Iroquois vessels when they tried to. Retreat, Jack ordered traps set across the starfield. The spire became a fortress. And a sword, the Eureka fleet fell, one by one, and in the end, the last ship exploded above the dying star. Silence followed, then cheers. From Earth ships, from Zar 3 outposts, from Kalira. Stood next to Jack with tears in her glowing eyes. You saved us all. Jack stood, his voice calm. Not me, us. Admiral Rourke opened a secure line. You could have killed us. You didn't. Jack nodded, because I remember where I came from. Rourke gave a slow nod. We'll talk. Peace terms. Jack smiled faintly. Good. Because I'm not a king, I'm a bridge. Back inside the spire, Jack and Kalira stood before the old Zar 3 throne. You passed the final trial, she said. What was that? She smiled, choosing unity over power. Jack looked out the window. Stars burned brightly beyond the glass. We're going to need a name for this new beginning. Kalira looked at him. What do you suggest? Jack thought for a moment. Then he said, the Alliance of Light. And the stars, for the first time in 1,000 years, seemed to shine brighter. 3 months had passed since the battle above the dying star. The celestial spire, once cold and abandoned, now buzzed with life. Engineers from Earth worked beside Zar 3 builders. The great towers were being repaired. Trade shuttles flew between. New stations. The heart of the fallen empire was beating again, not as a kingdom of the past, but as the capital of something new, the Alliance of Light. And at the center of it all stood Jack Thorne, the half-human, half-Sartharier who had refused the crown, but earned something even greater, the trust of 2 civilizations. Jack walked through the spire's upper garden, blooming with alien flowers that sparkled under artificial sunlight. It had become his place to think. Beside him walked Kalira, now wearing the ceremonial robes of a high advisor. She had refused the throne too, choosing instead to help build, not rule. We're growing fast, she said, smiling as she looked out over the floating city platforms. 12 worlds already joined the Alliance. And Earth? Jack asked. She gave a small smile, still cautious. But they signed the peace charter last week. That's something. Jack nodded. Peace is built 1 brick at a time. He paused near a crystal fountain, his face thoughtful. You ever wonder if Mother planned this from the start? Kalira looked up at the sky. She didn't just want her kingdom back. She wanted her children to choose something better. Jack nodded. And that's what we're doing. Down in the lower levels of the spire, Dr. Malik was leading a research team through an old archive vault. These records go back 20,000 years. He told a group of Earth and Zar 3 scientists, if we unlock them, we'll have tech that can cure diseases, rebuild planets, maybe even end famine. Alara, standing beside him, grinned. And I thought I'd seen everything. She turned to look at a group of young Zartharian Terran, cadets training together in the courtyard below. Never thought I'd live to see this. A future without war. Malik nodded. Let's make sure we keep it that way. But peace was not accepted by all. In the dark edge of the sector, a rogue warlord, a former Zar 3 noble, stirred in silence. His name was Vornok, purist who believed Jack had polluted the royal bloodline and betrayed the old ways. He gave our power to humans, Vornok growled. He opened the throne to the weak. Around him stood old warriors, broken admirals, mercenaries who had once ruled through fear. We strike during the unification ceremony, Vornok said. Kill the hybrid, shatter the alliance, bring back the true empire. Unaware of the growing threat, the alliance prepared for its most important day, the Unity Summit, Delegates from dozens of worlds arrived. Humans in clean uniforms, Zarthari with glowing tattoos. New races joined the insect-like Veron, the crystalline Or, the water-dwelling Ciliari. All came to witness one thing. It's the final symbol of peace. Jack and Kyalira would light the core beacon, a massive energy structure at the heart of the spire. It's powered by both human science and Zarthari crystal tech. When activated, it would broadcast a message of unity across the galaxy. The grand chamber was filled with light and music. Jack stood on the crystal stage wearing a simple black jacket, part Earth's military, part Zarthari tradition. He looked over the crowd, nervous but strong. He began his speech. I was born in war, raised as a soldier. I didn't know where I came from, or who I truly was, but now I know. I am the child of two worlds, and I stand here not to rule, but to remind you of something important. That the future doesn't belong to the strongest. It belongs to those brave enough to build something new. As the crowd clapped, Kalira stepped forward, holding the activation crystal. Together, she and Jack placed their hands on the control panel. The core beacon began to glow. But then, chaos. A hidden bomb exploded on the east balcony. Screams, smoke, gunfire. From the shadows came Vornok and his followers, wearing black armor and carrying pulse blades. Down with the half-blood. He shouted, down with the false throne. Security rushed in. Ilara and Rex led the counterattack. Dr. Malik pulled civilians to safety. Jack stood firm, eyes locked on Vornok. You don't have to do this, he said calmly. Vornok laughed. I fight for the purity of our people. No, Jack said. You fight for a past that's already dead. Vornak lunged, blade raised, but before he could strike, Kalira stepped between them, activating her shield. The blade hit the energy field and bounced back. Jack moved fast, using his hybrid powers, a mix of human reflex and Zarthari energy. In one swift motion, he disarmed Vornak and knocked him to the ground. The room froze. Vornak lay defeated, and Jack stood tall. Let this be the last blood spilled in the name of division. Later, as the smoke cleared and the wounded were tended, the core beacon glowed brighter than ever. Despite the attack, the ceremony continued. This time, every delegate stood and placed a hand on the beacon. From the crystals came a deep sound. Not a machine's hum, but something like a song. It was the song of unity, once lost, now reborn, across the galaxy. Old satellites picked up the signal, in hidden colonies and forgotten ruins. People looked up and saw the symbol of a new age, a light in the darkness. That night, Jack sat alone in the garden again. Kalira joined him, tired but smiling. You did it, she said. No, Jack replied. We did it. He looked at the stars. There will be more battles, more threats. But now we have a reason to fight, and something worth protecting. Khalida placed a hand on his shoulder. The queen would be proud. Jack looked at her. She gave us life, but we gave it meaning. A small, glowing flower bloomed beside them. It was the first time that flower had grown in hundreds of years, a sign of hope. The next day, a message was sent across all Alliance channels. This is not the end of a story. It is the beginning of something greater, a galaxy united, future chosen. Not by kings, but by those brave enough to believe in peace. And somewhere in the far corners of space, a young child, human. And Zarthari looked up and whispered, one day I'll go there too.